So basically, this K visa is a new visa category that is targeting STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math graduates from quote-unquote global top universities and institutes. So the length will be 5 years. So basically, everyone can stay. The visa will be valid for 5 years, and the eligible K visa holders will be able to stay in China for up to 180 days in each 1 year period. And also, one important difference from K visa to other high-skill worker-targeted visa categories in China is that, during those 180 days, the K visa holders could be able to do anything without employer nomination or employment contract. So basically, it was designed for those foreign high talent, STEM talents to explore employment, academic, entrepreneurial, or other opportunities in China. And in my opinion, actually, it is very likely to be a direct response to Donald Trump's recent decision to have this $100,000 fee for H-1B working visa in the United States, because this K visa category was first mentioned in mid-August in one new government immigration regulation, but its rollout was not clear until a few days ago, when it says that the Chinese government said that it will roll out on August 1st. So it was very likely. The timing is actually very interesting, although this policy has been consistent with the Chinese government's policy toward attracting foreign talents and visitors in the last few years.
Yeah, so presumably it's not going to cost 150,000 Australian dollars a year. So is it likely to work?
Sorry?
So is it likely this visa will work in attracting those graduates to China?
Okay, over the short term, I see it's probably a little bit more difficult, because we haven't really seen more details about how this visa will work. For example, how they would define the globally top universities and research institutes. I guess, the Chinese government and also the embassies around the world are still working on the final rules. And also another problem is that, in general, although a lot of young talents could be attracted into China, especially young entrepreneurs could be attracted into China for its manufacturing sector, but at the same time, it's still pretty challenging for someone who is not fluent in Mandarin to work or find entrepreneurial opportunities in visa over the short term. So in short term or mid-term, I would say the most likely candidates for this visa are most likely to be among the overseas Chinese community who have some knowledge about Mandarin, who can find opportunities.
So why does China, with the second biggest population in the world, need to bring workers in?
I think there are definitely two factors, at least two factors behind that. The first one is that, according to Chinese leaders, particularly Xi Jinping, the competition between China and the United States, a core part of that is actually the competition in what he called hard science and technology. So attracting young talents not only among Chinese citizens, but also around the world will be a key part of that. And another one is actually the demographic trend in China over the last few years because of the backfiring of the one-child policy. Though this year, the birth rate in China will be very likely somewhere around 8 million. So it was half of the figure of the birth rate about 10 years ago. So for China, the influx of new talents globally is definitely an option.
But there is a bit of blowback in China about this, though.
Yes, there are some blowbacks. There are actually some backlashes. There are some welcoming voices from the business community, but at the same time, some partially as a result of the nationalistic myth constructed by the Chinese government. Actually, it has been, we have seen some xenophobic voices against this against this new policy. For example, those new foreign immigrants, K visa holders, could be grabbing jobs from the Chinese job market, which has already been pretty challenging for young university graduates, or it would challenge or undermine the alleged purity of the Chinese nation.
Yeah, and there's a pretty amazing statistic in the story today on ABC Online. A 2024 report found the employment rate for university graduates in China was just 55%. Why is that the case?
Well, it has been pretty challenging to obtain the exact figures. But people usually agree that it has been pretty challenging over the last few years. There are some main reasons. Actually, the Chinese economy has been, its growth has been slowing down after the first trade war during the first Trump administration, and later on it has been further deteriorated by by COVID-19, the Chinese government's response to COVID-19, the lockdowns, and also some other policies. For example, the policies that led to the burst of real estate bubble in China, and also, for example, earlier banning of private tutoring, which used to be a big reserve pool for young university graduates back in 2020.
Yeah, and just another aspect to this, Fengming, it was interesting to see that there was this blowback from some people on social media in China about this, saying it would take jobs from locals. Is it dangerous for people to post dissenting views like that to government policy?
Actually, we have some earlier cases when the Chinese government released pretty immigrant-friendly immigration regulations back in 2020. We saw a very similar scenario actually taking place. Usually for such kind of backlashes or critiques, actually, as long as they are not really challenging the regime, actually the aftermaths are not actually very serious. But actually on the opposite, the Chinese government, if they see such policies are extremely highly popular, they may reconsider the exact rules or rollout of such policies, because at the end of the day, immigration has still remained a pretty challenging and also pretty sensitive issue in China, because over the last few decades, China has never really been a real immigration country, and even today, the proportion of immigrants among the Chinese population is still pretty small.
Yeah. Okay, Fengming Lu, really interesting talking to you. Thanks for the chat.
Thank you very much, Joe.